Good morning and welcome to the New Hampshire Insurance Department's monthly webinar series. This month, we're talking about insurance for your wedding, protecting everything from your jewelry to the event itself and your honeymoon. I'm joined by Commissioner DJ Bettencourt, our Deputy Commissioner Keith Nyan, and our Assistant Commissioner Jason Dexter. And I'm joined by as well James Fox and LuAnne King from our Property and Casualty Division. I'd like to remind you guys that this and all of our webinars can be found on our YouTube page. And as always, if you have questions, we're happy to address those at the end. Please type your question into the chat box and we'll get to you at the end of the presentation. So having said that, I'm happy to turn it over to Commissioner Bettencourt.
Well, thank you, Andrew, and good morning, everyone. Thank you once again for joining us for the New Hampshire Insurance Department's monthly webinar series. As Andrew mentioned, my name is DJ Bettencourt, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Commissioner of the New Hampshire Insurance Department. So for a lot of us, spring is a very, very special time of year. It is a time of renewal. It is a time of new beginnings. And for many people, it is the opportunity to begin a special and exciting chapter in their lives, whether they be young people who are graduating from high school or college and moving on to the next phase of their life. And then, of course, there is the wedding season, which is what we're going to talk about today. As any bride will tell you, there's a lot that goes into planning a wedding. There's a lot more than one would ordinarily think. And there are some important insurance considerations that need to be taken into account as well. And so that's what we're going to focus on today. Our goal is to ensure that consumers are able to focus on planning their big day and being able to enjoy and experience that day to its maximum and not have to worry about, God forbid, anything bad happening. So our team is going to talk a little bit about that today. And again, we thank you for joining us, and I'll turn it over to James Fox and LuAnne.
Thank you, Commissioner. Welcome, everybody. Let's start from, we're going to take this from soup to nuts. We're going to take this from the proposal, which involves the engagement ring, right on through to the honeymoon. So starting with the engagement ring, once you purchase that very expensive item, you're going to want to put insurance on it. And this is a very easy thing to do. Most everyone either has a homeowner policy, a condo policy, or a renter's policy. It's as simple as putting it on either any of those policies. And that's going to be scheduled jewelry. Your agent is your best point of contact to do this. They're going to want a copy of your bill of sale, the appraisal, or whatever you have to prove how much it's worth. And then in the event of a covered loss, they're going to use that as the basis for how much they're going to pay you. And scheduling your jewelry is going to give you a lot more protection than if you didn't schedule your jewelry. For example, it's covered worldwide, and there are additional perils that are covered by scheduling where it wouldn't be, and you're going to be covered up to the limit that you need it to be covered for. So step one, once you buy the ring, is to get the insurance in place for the ring. And then that would bring us to the next important event is the planning the venue. And you're going to want to get venue insurance. And the most important part of that coverage is the liability piece. If someone were to get hurt during your wedding, God forbid, and it's for your negligence, or if property gets damaged, this coverage will step up and give you that, provide that coverage for you so that you don't have to pay for it out of pocket. And a lot of venues now will require you to give them a certificate of insurance. And that's a very easy thing. Once you purchase your event coverage, you're going to just give them the venue information, the name, contact name, address, and fax number or email address, and they will make sure that they get that certificate of insurance right over to the venue. And that there's a lot of things that also can be added to this policy. So speaking with a licensed agent is going to be your best resource for this. In addition to the liability piece that I've already mentioned, which is very important, there are other coverages that event policies may provide for you. This is where you and your agent talking they're going to get you the best coverage that you need. So if you have to cancel or postpone your wedding for maybe weather events or sickness or an emergency, there might be coverage, that you can purchase for that that's going to help offset some of those expenses. Lost deposits and other expenses can be also endorsed onto this policy, and it can prevent you against financial losses related to key vendors such as photographers, florists, and others not performing their duties. So really, your agent, having that conversation with your agent, telling them about your day and what is going to, what you need for coverage, that's going to be your best resource for that. Make sure that you understand your coverages, your exclusions, make sure you have adequate limits and so forth before you purchase it. And then always, make sure that the price point is where you need it to be. There are a lot of coverages out there, and make sure that you're getting what you need for the price that you need. There is your wedding venue insurance. And then on to the fun part, which would be the honeymoon. There, you would want to purchase an event coverage policy for that, travel policy for that. And this is, if you're traveling abroad, one of the biggest advantages to the travel coverage is when you're abroad, your medical insurance may or may not cover you, depending on who you have for medical insurance. And I'm not talking about that here today. But there are travel policies that will build in for you medical coverage. And in the event that they need to transport you back to the United States, there might even be coverage in the policy for that. And I'm saying the word might a lot because policies can be endorsed as you need them to be, so that you're not paying for every single possible coverage. You're only going to pay for the coverages that are applicable to you, that you need. So that's going to help keep your costs down, but it's also going to be able to allow you to customize your policy to fit exactly what you need. And travel coverage also gives you other benefits. For example, if your travel has to be canceled or delayed, or if even interrupted due to weather events and other events, there's going to be coverage in that policy for you as well. Baggage is also covered. I know your homeowner policy will step up and pay some of that, but there are also advantages to having the baggage coverage in your travel policies. To help meet those unexpected occurrences when your bags are lost or delayed. And then I'd like to speak a little bit about rental car coverage. If you're renting a car, so we're not traveling abroad, so we're renting a car stateside, and they ask you at the counter, would you like to purchase our insurance or not? And you say to yourself, well, I already have car insurance, so I don't need to purchase your insurance. I really would encourage you to purchase their insurance. And the reason for that, there are going to be benefits to this in the event that there's an accident with the rental car, and the rental car is out of commission for an extended period of time. Everyone knows that, there's a supply chain shortage with parts and so forth. So that rental car is out of commission. That contract that you signed at the counter may make you liable for paying the time that car wouldn't be available to rent to others. And if you purchase their insurance, most of the time that is going to be covered. They're not going to charge you for the days that the vehicle is out of commission. That's something that your auto policy wouldn't step up and cover for you. So there are definite advantages to purchasing the insurance that's available at the rental counter. And in a nutshell, from the engagement ring right through the honeymoon, that's a snapshot of the coverages that you're going to need to protect you right through. Make sure your ring, your jewelry is protected. Make sure that your liability is covered for the event itself, and your travel is protected when you go on your honeymoon. And I gave you some tips on the rental insurance. And at this point, are there, I'd like to, I wanted to throw this over to Jason for a second to speak a little bit more about the travel and the medical, because I'm in the property and casualty side of the house. So we're going to cover up to a certain dollar figure. But then in the event of a catastrophic loss, Jason's going to speak a little bit more about what can be available on that side for the life accident and health side.
LuAnne, thank you. Good job. Good overview so far. Again, my name is Jason Dexter. I'm the Assistant Commissioner here at the department. I'll speak to a few things. First thing I'll speak to, and LuAnne mentioned it, is what you're going to expect from your health insurance coverage when you're in doing international travel. And the first piece of advice for you is contact your carrier, because the coverage that is available on your particular health insurance policy is going to vary pretty widely. You know, as a general rule, routine care, physical therapy, that sort of thing, that's never going to be covered. But emergency or urgent care is going to be dependent on the carrier. Some carriers have special global international programs that you could reach out to them and they might be able to provide something that you could add to your policy. That said, even if you have coverage, the claims process when you're traveling international can be difficult. These are out-of-network providers. Most of health insurance at this point is managed care. You're dealing with in-network providers. So getting claims paid, you might have to pay up front. There's a lot of complexities that come to your health insurance, your major medical health insurance policies. So that's your advice. Talk to your carrier. As far as travel insurance goes, as I mentioned, it offers a lot of coverage options, but generally speaking, the limits are relatively low. So from a life and health perspective, you can add some health insurance coverages. It does have exclusions, which typically would not be in a major mental health insurance policy. But you have the ability to get your limits up to $500,000, $1 million type of thing. Whereas with PNC, it's really 50, I think, is the limit there. So that's your two pieces of advice. Talk to your carrier, and then talk to your producer. And once you know what you have on from your carrier perspective, then you're talking to your producer about travel insurance and what's available there. You can round out some decent coverage for you. You can travel internationally and enjoy your honeymoon.
James, did you want to add anything at all, or did I cover everything you wanted us to cover?
I think you did. I think you did a great job as always. I would just try to reiterate that it's important in the PNC land to probably in this category to work through a producer because the travel insurance in particular is not highly regulated. It is regulated. We have a statute, that's travel insurance statute, but it's not highly regulated. So every policy is not going to be the same policy. Like automobile insurance are pretty much all the same. So you need to go to your producer and they say exactly what your situation is and have them work with you because, each policy might cover as a trigger the same thing, but they all might have different exclusions. And they also may have all different processing conditions on how you get paid. So you got to be very careful. We have a lot of complaints in consumer where people think they're getting certain type of coverage for the traveler, then they don't get what they had hoped to get. So it's super important to work through a producer. And that goes with, I think, most things, unless you're an insurance expert. The other thing about just about the automobile piece in terms of the rental is that, you should also check if you have credit cards and you have some high-end credit cards, some of those cards will give very good automobile insurance for rental cars. So like I know like the Chase Sapphire Reserve, they give primary coverage. They're like, we're primary. You use that card to rent the vehicle and they'll be primary. Check with them to confirm that, but that's my understanding. So if you have high-end credit cards, you might want to check there too for what you'll have for travel insurance for automobiles for rentals. Because as LuAnne said, there isn't usually a liability problem. It's usually the physical damage coverage for the rental vehicle. And then you don't want to get into a battle with the rental company who is saying, oh, we couldn't use the vehicle. So now, you owe us all of the money for that. So that's why LuAnne was saying that you should err on the side of purchasing it from the rental car company. And you should, obviously, that's one of the shopping to see how much that costs. But overall, again, as we usually say, we've given some guideposts here on what to look for in insurance. And when you go to the details, you should definitely look at your risks, what you're worried about. If you're worried about your wedding ring slipping off in the water when you're on a boating act, you should talk to your producer. Say, that might happen. I seem to forget to take my wedding ring off. Will that be covered? So talking as much as you can to your producer is always a huge positive. That's all I have to add.
Very well said. And the other thing about travel is that all consumers in the state of New Hampshire, you'll have 10 days from the date that you receive your policy after you purchase it, if it's sent to you electronically, or 15 days after it's mailed to you through postal mail, to review your policy. And if you're not happy with it for any reason, you're allowed to cancel the policy so long as you haven't started your trip or obviously submitted a claim, and you're able to get all of your money back. If you purchased that travel policy and it's not exactly what you thought it was, you do have that window of time to change your mind for travel. But that doesn't apply to the other coverages that we spoke about today, but that is in our law for travel, if that helps.
And I'll just add, much like everything else, we have experts here at the building who can help you understand your policy and help you understand the inclusions and exclusions. So if you have a policy and you're inside of that window that LuAnne just mentioned, and you have questions or concerns, please give us a call straight away, and you can connect with a subject matter expert here who can help you understand your policy, understand the inclusions and exclusions. Our consumer service team is standing by, and their main goal is to educate, navigate, and investigate. And we're happy to do the educate part because oftentimes that's the best way to get rid of problems before they can have a chance to become a problem. It's just by educating the consumer and letting them know what the policy includes and what it excludes. I still don't see any questions. Why don't we kick it over to Keith or Commissioner Bettencourt to see if they have any final thoughts.
No, thank you very much, Andrew. I think everybody did a great job. I'm just going to throw in a few phone numbers for everybody. If you need to reach our Consumer Services Division, that number is 800-852-3416 or consumerservices@ins.nh.gov. And for those individuals who would like to talk about purchasing insurance, while we can't recommend a specific producer to you, we do partner with an organization referred to as the Big I, or the Independent Insurance Agents of New Hampshire. And that phone number to reach that organization is 603-224-3965 or biginh.com. And on that, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And if you have any questions, give that Consumer Services number a call. We're happy to help any way that we can.
Thank you very much. Next month's webinar series, we'll discuss with our expert, Dr. Aziz, who is our Director of Health Economics here. He'll be discussing the explanation of benefits that consumers receive after they have any kind of doctor's visits. And you may ask yourself, what the heck am I getting this for? What does this mean? Dr. Aziz will be explaining that, so stay tuned next month. And as we mentioned earlier, this and all of our webinars are available on our YouTube page. So check those out because there's always a different topic every month and there's always something for everyone. We appreciate you joining us this afternoon and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much.